Hey guys, welcome to my walkthrough for a melee only next solo. Let's jump straight into preparing for a kill by looking at the gear setup. Feel free to pause the video at any point to see exactly how I prepare. The gear I used in this example was full malevolent with dual Drygor longswords and Torva gloves and Torva boots. I would also highly recommend a Divine Spirit shield for Zero Space. You should also always bring a Ring of Vigor. And finally, don't forget bolts, as you will need those to kill the next minions. Your Beast of Burden setup will be quite simple. Always bring 5 Ceridome brew flasks, and then fill the rest of your familiar with food, regardless of whether you have a yak or not. Your starting out inventory should hold 9 food, 6 Ceridome brew flasks, and 7 prayer flasks. In addition, you should bring a Royal Crossbow to kill the next minions efficiently, your offhand Drygor, Overload Potion, Prayer Renewal Potion, and Adrenaline Potion. You should also bring a Portent of Life if you have access to them in case you mess up. To start a next kill, jump down and run over to Fumis. Make sure you are melee distance and your camera angle is turned so you can see next spawn. The moment next spawns, sip Adrenaline Potion, target Fumis, and make sure you use Freedom as either the first or second ability. Also use Resonance, Preparation, Surge, or Escape, but do not use Anticipation. You should be at 57% Adrenaline following this ability combination. Smoke phase is the easiest of Nexus phases. Always start this phase with Sever for the 10% damage reduction and use Anticipation immediately after to prevent getting pulled by Nex. Pray protect melee as you will always have to be melee distance. You should be getting off 3 thresholds before Nex does her escape attack. Start with Assault, then Destroy, do a Slaughter as she does her escape attack, and make sure you surge out of the middle to avoid the attack. If Slaughter hits, you can soul split away from Nex and get some nice heals. Make sure you use Anticipation the moment it is off cooldown after she does her escape attack, and then finish the phase with some thresholds. Notice during this footage that I always have Freedom ready in case Nex does pull me when Anticipation wears off. The preferred weapon to kill Nex minions with is the Royal Crossbow because it has a 9 square range, meaning you can attack the minion, but the minion cannot attack you. This is very advantageous because Nex minions can do quite a bit of damage. I would highly recommend using Devotion if you have it while killing the minion so Nex's attacks are nullified for 10 seconds. Pay particular care while killing Fumis and make sure you use Anticipation after Nex does her escape attack so you do not get pulled by Nex. You should be starting Shadow Phase with 100% Adrenaline. The moment Nex is tagged, use Berserk and follow up with your most powerful basics, Sever, then Backhand or Kick. Continue using basics with Berserk as it is a bit risky to use melee thresholds on Shadow Phase. In this video, I use a 1 square method, which means Nex will only send range attacks at me. To do this, right click 2 squares from Nex and alternate doing basics, which will bring you melee distance of Nex, and left clicking the square, which will bring you out of melee distance. With practice, this method becomes very easy and you should take very little damage on Shadow Phase. I would highly recommend building up to Massacre and then using that as I do in this footage. The phase should be over pretty soon after that. Killing Umbra is practically the same as killing Fumis. You should use Devotion and pay attention to Nex's shadow traps while praying range. Be careful to stay out of Umbra's attack range because he uses Mage and Nex uses range, so you can easily get damage from 2 different styles, even with Devotion. The most important thing about killing Umbra is keeping your life points at maximum because you can take quite a bit of damage when you Berserk on Blood Phase, so having a lot of HP going into Blood Phase is extremely useful. Blood Phase is definitely one of the most tricky phases at Nex, but the most important piece of advice I can give to anyone is to not panic. I purposely chose to use this next solo I recorded because I did not get Blood Phase in one siphon and wanted to show how I dealt with that. You should start Blood Phase with Berserk and then Adrenaline Pot. Use Freedom and then Anticipation to gain Adrenaline as you do not want to heal Nex during her siphon. Immediately begin attacking Nex after her siphon is over using Assault as your first ability. Follow with Sever and Backhand or Kick and then use Destroy. Avoid her Blood Sacrifice with Escape or Surge. After this powerful combination, you should take a quick assessment of Nex's HP. The Blood Phase call is at 80k, and it is up to you whether you want to use Blood Tendrils or stick to basics to get the phase done. In this footage, I used blood tendrils because I knew I could not get the phase in one siphon, so I needed to damage Nex as much as possible. Dealing with multiple siphon blood phases can be simplified immensely by killing Reavers. Always use your bleed abilities on Reavers as you do not want to accidentally use them on Nex. Here I use Dismember on one Reaver and Slaughter on the other. If you have stalled Nex by losing target during Siphon whilst attacking Reavers as I did in this footage, be aware that her sacrifice attack will be 2 attacks earlier than normal after she teleports near you. This is still enough time to get at least one threshold off. Ideally, you should use Escape or Surge to avoid blood sacrifice, but I failed to do so on this clip and Nex healed 10k life points. However, this wasn't that big a deal as Destroy hit well and practically negated the heal. On the following Siphon, Nex barely healed because of how much I damaged the Reavers, and I was able to get the minion call quite easily with thresholds. There is not much to say about killing Kruger except that after he is dead, you should have paid attention to what part of blood phase Nex was on. If she siphoned, it is highly recommended to not tag her into ice phase, but if she blood sacrificed, you should tag her as quickly as possible. This is to avoid an immediate ice prison following a siphon tag. Before you view this ice phase footage, be aware that I did not deal with the phase as efficiently as I wanted to. I normally go with a safer, more defensive tactic while doing ice phase, but with melee I would recommend tanking one prison and double thresholding to get the phase over quickly. The most helpful advice I can think of for dealing with ice phase is to count Nex's attacks, as she will always do her specials in a set order. Provided you have not teleport stalled Nex, every 4th attack she does will be a special, either a prison or a contain. Knowing this will allow you to avoid ice phase mechanics more easily by having Surge or Freedom ready on the 4th attack for a contain or a prison respectively. If you tag Nex correctly after a blood sacrifice, she will start ice phase with a contain attack. Immediately use Slaughter and avoid this attack by running away. As mentioned previously, with melee it might be wiser to tank one prison hit and use Assault and Destroy to try and speed up the phase. During ice phase, you should always pray Protect melee until the 4th attack, and then switch to Protect mage with the 4th attack to avoid getting stunned directly before a contain. Pray mage after avoiding the contain attack until you are melee distance of Nex again, and then switch back to Protect melee until the prison. The reason for praying melee is because Nex is capable of hitting up to 2k with melee on ice phase, and she will more often melee than mage if her target is melee distance. If you get stunned by an ice attack before the 4th attack, do not waste freedom and do not panic, as the stun will run out before her 4th attack, and you will still be able to avoid the contain with Surge. In this footage, I clicked away from Nex too early before the stun ran out, and ended up surging into a contain. If this happens to you, the only thing to do is to be ready to tank a lot of damage as I did. After getting the ice phase call, it is imperative that you kill Glacies as quickly as possible. Extending ice phase is a very bad idea, as you can only tank so much damage before running out of supplies or ultimates to deal with prisons and contains. It is also highly recommended to be watching Nex at all times while you are attacking Glacies and keep counter attacks, as you know that every 4th attack will be either a contain or a prison. Zeros phase is without question the longest phase if you are only using melee. I always start this phase with my shield on and out of melee distance, as Zeros mage hits have the potential to hit 4k+. Use Resonance once she mages you to try and get a good heal, and then follow up with Preparation and Reflect. To improve Zeros phase speeds with melee, you have to be aware of Nex's mechanics. Nex will either do one of two things, either an overhead prayer rotation or statically pray against one style. If Nex does her overhead prayer rotation, she will switch between Soul Split, No Prayer, and Melee Protect. If Nex does her static pray tactic, it will either be range or mage protect, depending on what kill rotation it is. The most annoying thing about meleeing with the overhead prayer rotation is that there's a period where you cannot attack, and then there's a period where she will heal, so it is very difficult to damage Nex effectively when she does this rotation. One method that I find to be quite efficient during the overhead prayer rotation is to equip your shield and use defensives during the melee protect, and then dual wield with 2 thresholds during no prayer and soul split. You should alternate resonance and reflect during each melee protect to get the most effective result. To be aware of when Nex is protecting melee, watch her wings. A lighter orange shade means she is protecting melee. The moment her wings become this color, stop attacking Nex and wait for 3 of her attacks before attacking her again. Nex's static pray tactic is much simpler and allows for a much faster zero space. If Nex only prays against one style, you should dual wield and use thresholds as rapidly as possible to get the kill over with as quickly as possible, because you do not want to deal with her overhead prayer rotation, which will only slow down the kill. Alright guys, thanks for watching my Nex melee only solo walkthrough, and I hope it helped some people out. Let me know what you guys think, and if you have any questions, just put them in the comments below. I'm not sure at the moment what my next video will be, but I am throwing a couple ideas around, and I have seen some comments asking for a Virago bomb tanking guide. I may consider that, but Virago is quite a complex boss to explain about, so it would take quite a long while, and I would need to record a lot of suitable footage. Anyway, till next time guys, I'm out.